Let me just turn off my WhatsApp so we don't have
That's,
these messages coming through.
that's all good, man. First of all, man, I just want to, on record, say thank you for your time. Your reputation speaks for itself, and everything that you're doing is right up my alley. And I also want to say thank you on behalf of everyone that can't have a conversation with you because of lack of time. You are changing tides, man, and it's beautiful to see another lad doing it. You know what I mean? Like it's one thing seeing it from a lady's perspective, which is absolutely incredible, but seeing lads speak up and talk to other people is, I think, really important. So I just want to say thank you, man.
Well, thank you, Alex. I appreciate it, and I appreciate that sincere message. I do, and there's a lot of support that I have to thank a lot of people for the work that we do and I do. So, mate, thanks, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you today, and appreciate your time.
Awesome, man. Like I'm gonna ask a very like kind of open question of like how and why did you get into this scene?
Yeah, it's a good question. Obviously, it's an important question because that's what sort of will probably segue into the next part of the conversation. But for many years, I'll give a little bit of a backstory first, just so it sets the foundations correctly. Mental health has obviously been something that we can't deny it. It's existed for decades, for hundreds of years. But as far as people discussing mental health challenges and mental ill health and mental illness, hasn't really been something that's been openly spoken about in circles all around the world. I think there's a big part of taboo and stigma, and that probably follows a lack of education and awareness around it. As growing up, we're not really taught about signs and symptoms around mental health, are we? We're told to be fit and healthy, exercise every day to keep your heart fit and healthy, and all that sort of great stuff, and learn how to add up numbers and look at resumes and everything else. But we're never really taught around what does mental health look like. Now, mental ill health has certainly been something that's struggled with my family for a number of years, long before we started living in 2013. And I've had my own mental health struggles, man. I'm the first to admit it. But if you rewound, 10 or 15 years ago, it would have been hard for me to actually fully articulate the feelings I was experiencing and what I was going through, because I didn't really know it myself. I just thought that I was dealt with those cards, and that was just how my biology was made up, so to speak. So I basically kept my cards pretty close at those times, and I hid the pain pretty well. And some of those warning signs have probably come out during times of, partying and things like that, which we can always talk about later. But a very long story short, I've lost a couple of people in my direct family to suicide over the years. And this dates back well and truly before I was even told about mental ill health within the family. I was told these family members died of other things because suicide was too hard to have that conversation. It was something that no one would really understand. So I was told something else. But having my own struggles, learning more about mental ill health, and going through my own struggles, and everyone's got their own trauma in some kind of way. So I'll never discount that. Everyone's got their own struggles, whether that be in mental health or family relationships, whatever it is. It brought me to the year of 2013. I spiraled. It was probably one of the toughest years of my life. Made some really bad choices. Did things that I definitely would have, I'd definitely take back if I had the chance to relive those experiences. But you can't take things back. You just learn from your mistakes. You know what I mean? And for me, it was a really bad, tough year. When I say bad, look, things happened in my life that I'm not proud of, and I did things that I wasn't proud of. But it shaped me to the person I am today. I reconnected with my good friend Dwayne Lally, who we'd been friends for years. We used to play sports together and against each other. Very competitive. Dwayne and I, we were very competitive, like most young guys are playing competitive sports growing up. And Dwayne was the life of the party. And when him and I were together, it was kind of like, we were both trying to outdo one another. You know what I mean? And that was just part of, I guess, masculinity as well. It was a perfect space to talk about masculinity. And Dwayne suffered with bipolar and depression for a number of years, but he hid his pain really well. Like, he never really spoke about it to people. And the people that he did speak about it with still knew very little. It wasn't like he'd go into very articulate terms. And his warning signs would probably come out through things like drinking or partying or being overly aggressive at times. And it just comes down to how people contain their challenges, I guess. And Dwayne and I reconnected. I'd been away for a while. When we speak, it's like we haven't lost any time, which was always great. That typifies a good friendship. We had our differences at times, and we were very competitive when we played each other in sports, but at the end of the day, we were good friends, and that's what it was. And anyway, Dwayne got me to his place the night of September 14th, 2013. It's not, obviously I'll never forget. He's like, Webb, come over. We're going to have a house. We're going to have a bit of a shindig at my place. I'm bringing my girlfriend. She's going to pick you up. And long story short, I got to his place. Dwayne was as happy as he ever is. Smile that would light up any room, energy that would change situations. He got a lot of character and charisma and all that sort of great stuff. And the night carried on like any normal night at a house party or an event where you had good friends over, celebrating, just having a great life, watching footy. And Dwayne called me into his room that night and said, Webb, I want to talk to you. And I said, yeah, no worries. So we chatted, and we chatted on a really deep level for probably 30 or 40 minutes about everything. And Dwayne had told me that he'd tried to take his life twice before. And I was so caught off guard, man. I didn't see it coming. Like I was under the impression that he was struggling with some, kinds of mental health challenges, but I didn't really think it was that severe, because he had things together from the outside. He just had it all together. And at this stage, I still wasn't as educated as I am today around mental health and what are the signs and what you could look out for, obviously. Even having my own mental health struggles. I was blindsided. And I was like, man, don't worry. Like obviously when he shared it with me, I was so like, wow, rocked. But I reassured Dwayne life is great, and he's got so much family and support around him that they'd always be there for him if he ever struggled. And he reassured me, don't worry, Webb, everything's good. My future looks bright and promising. And, we would talk, and I shared with him, let me just turn that off. Sorry. I was sharing with him about how I was feeling. He was sharing with me about how he was feeling. We spoke at detail about some of the symptoms and to the extremes of what that impact could be like. And I remember Dwayne saying to me, he goes, I've got the balls to take my own life though, Webb. There are a lot of people out there that say they would do it, but they would never actually do it. I'm the kind of twisted dude that would actually do it. And to me, that was like, wow, like, fuck, what do I say to that? I'm not a mental health professional. I'm just a person that's just living my life and trying to learn as I go. And the end of the conversation was very upbeat. It was positive. He was like, yeah, all's good. Life's great. Let's go to the top. Him and I always used to say we're going to the top. It was like this imaginary place where we'd go when we're just crushing life. We're going to live the best life, wherever we end up, we're going to have the best. We're going to be the best. We're untouchable. And man, that was the last time I seen Dwayne in living form. That was the last time I saw Dwayne in living proof. About an hour after that, he had a bit of an he left from his house and he went missing. And I tried to ring him. I tried to call him. I was messaging him, man, please come back. I don't want you to do anything stupid. Please don't do anything what we'd spoken about tonight. I'm here for you. You've got so many people that want to support you. Just please answer your phone. My calls and texts went unanswered. And man, I didn't realize that the next time I'd see Dwayne, he wouldn't be alive. That was the last thing that I ever expected, and it changed thousands of people's lives. And Dwayne ended up taking his own life that night in the early hours of September 15, 2013. And mate, it's changed the way we have conversations around mental health.
Fuck, man, like that's touched me deeply, and I just want to say thank you for sharing that and being so honest and open. Like that's rough, man. Like honestly, there's no I can say that's going to make that any better. You know what I mean? So I'm not even going to fucking
No,
try.
of course. No,
But,
that's all good. It is what it is, man. And we're talking, 8 and a bit years ago, and the stigma was something that just kept Dwayne quiet. One of the big things. And so we're trying to do everything that we can to break the stigma around mental health. So we created Livin in Dwayne's honor. But there are so many people, not only in Australia, New Zealand, America, all over the world, that struggle in silence with some type of mental health challenge. And Livin doesn't discriminate. We're here to break down those barriers so that people can seek help and reach out before it is too late. Because I know if Dwayne had his chance again and he had the tools and strategies that I know now, and that we're blessed to be able to have learned up until this stage, I think he'd still be around. You know, and there are lots of people that are taking their own life every single day while we sit here. And I feel in my heart of hearts that we have a responsibility to the people in our life to make sure that they start living and living to the best of their ability, no matter what it is that they're struggling with. Because I know deep down, my struggle might be different to your struggle, Alex, but we've all been touched with something in some kind of unique way. And I think trauma and challenges is what connects us at the absolute root of everything that we do. And so we've got to start taking advantage of that vulnerability and start connecting with people on a different level.
100%, man. We can empathize with one another. You know, it's not necessarily the exact stories that people relate to. It's the feelings associated with those stories. And it's like, holy shit, like, okay, that's completely different to what this person might have experienced. But the feeling that you got from it is the same. And that's how we all connect, right? And we feel like we're not alone on this gigantic planet with nearly 8 billion people on it. It's like, no, man, like we share with stories and we connect through stories and those feelings associated with them.
100%, definitely.
So talk to me about Livin then, man. Like obviously the legend who is Dwayne, like, ended up passing on to the next realm, and you were like, what? Straight away, we need to do something, or what?
Yeah,
what
I think the pain and what had happened was just so tragic and abrupt and surprising that no one saw it coming. And you know, I can only speak from my own experiences, but from where I was sitting and looking at from the outside and seeing other people falling apart, family of Dwayne's, friends, someone had to really stand up and make a change. Otherwise, you know, these things have dire consequences at times. You know, the ripple impact or the ripple effect of one life can touch hundreds, you know, if not thousands, depending on their network. And it can really alter and fuck with people in a way that you would never experience or think was possible. And so, you know, I guess from my own experiences, Dwayne's best mate, Casey, who's a friend of mine, we both co-founded Livin in 2013 after Dwayne's passing. And we set out to make a difference. You know, our goal was, there was a lot of great organizations out in the world doing great stuff, but no one that we saw at the time was really connecting with people on more of just a relatability level, where it was kind of like young people talking to young people in a way that was kind of cool. And the brand led itself for people to feel comfy to open up. They're all very traditional based organizations, and credit to all of them. They do great work. We work alongside a lot of them, you know, but what we really wanted to do was complement those organizations with stigma reduction strategies. And we started off selling apparel. So t-shirts, hoodies, hats. And that was a walking billboard for people to sort of say, what is Livin all about? And our hashtag, it ain't weak to speak. And then when people knew it was around mental health awareness and suicide prevention, it was almost like you're creating this community of people that were able to talk about it without actually talking about it. You know what I mean? Like, you could wear a shirt, not really talk about your own struggles, but it was like a sign that you were actually able to wear it loud and proud and share it in a way that wasn't so, I don't know, it wasn't so in your face kind of thing. Like, and it wasn't so scary for someone who might be struggling that wears our gear, you know? And so we started with that, with the goal of putting together a program so that we could go into schools and deliver a program, which is now to this day called Livin Well. And we've spoken to over 100,000 students across Australia, some in the US, a lot of organizations as well. And our Livin Well program is so simple, but it's something that's so necessary. It really teaches young people and colleagues and workplaces how to recognize problems, the warning signs and symptoms that you could look out for, how to support someone in your life or someone that might be struggling, and how you can really support yourself through really basic strategies. Early intervention and prevention is the best cure, I believe, to living mentally well. Yes, and so we need to practice what we preach, and that's what we do, and that's called Livin Well. We do that we have Livin Well in schools and Livin Well in work, and Livin Well in sports, and they're going extremely well. We're very grateful for the support that we get from all over Australia. Hopefully the US soon too. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's something that's needed because none of us have the answers to everything. And I think we always have to remind ourselves that, mental health is very common. And while you might be listening to this and you might feel, well, yeah, it is, but I still feel alone in a world of 8 billion people. That is definitely something that I've experienced before. And I'd never undervalue that ever in my life. But I can tell you with my hand on my heart, with the right help and support and community, you'll get back on track and you can start living a really good life.
Yeah, man. And you'll end up seeing your darkest hour as your greatest blessing. At least in my experience, because once you end up coming through it, whether you're dragged through it by someone else or you pull yourself through it, right? You can then see the world through a different set of lenses because you've experienced something and you've felt it and you've seen what it's like firsthand. You can now appreciate those tiny, minute things that seem so insignificant to you back in the day. Now you're like, you know what? I appreciate that. I'm grateful for this. Thank you for that. It's hard to be able to tell that to someone who's currently going through it. You know what I mean? But it will. Like the darkest hour will become their greatest strength. If you can get through that, you're a bad motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're right. When you're going through it, you're in the thick of it. You think it's the worst thing that's happening, and you could probably get tied up and caught up in the why me mentality and why is this happening to me. But sometimes when you just, if you're able to change 1 or 2 words in the way you speak to yourself, you can really turn it around. Okay, instead of like, for example, why is this happening to me? What is this actually teaching me? It could be a couple of different words, but changes the way you're looking at the problem. And oftentimes when you look at things differently, the things that you look at change, So, I mean, it's a lifelong journey. I don't have the answers to everything, Alex. I'm a student of life. I learn every day. It's a continual, learning experience for me. And living wouldn't be where it is today without the support that we get from so many walks of life. So I've got everyone to thank for what's happening and what they've created, really, what the community have created. And again, as I said earlier, Dwayne's legacy lives on within Livin, but I know Dwayne, and he wouldn't have wanted Livin to be about him. It's about the people, and that's what Livin is all about. And there are so many people that are still dying by suicide at alarming rates. And so we need to work harder. We need to do more to keep working to save people's lives. And that's what Livin is eventually about.
How do we bring this to New Zealand?
Well, mate, I'd love to bring it to New Zealand. Actually, Casey's got my co-founder, his family. I think some of his family are actually from New Zealand. And mate, there's definitely opportunities to spread the love in New Zealand. I know we've already got some community over there. But yeah, there's no barriers or boundaries as to where we take this thing. It's just about getting the support from people and communities so that we can get into schools and educate people that it ain't weak to speak. Because a conversation can save a life, it really does.
110%.
I've seen it firsthand. Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing.
Fuck yeah, man! A conversation can save a life. That's such a strong sentence and statement, and it couldn't be more true. Like, you let me know what you need, and I'll do my best to be able to link 2 and 2 together and plug the gaps and bring everyone together and get this thing going, mate. Because, like, poverty knows no prejudice is something that I wrote a long time ago regarding, people who are kind of pushed down and whatever. But also it's the same when it comes to mental health. Like, it doesn't give a fuck who you are. like everyone will go through the same things between their two ears, right? And it will break
Yeah.
all the segregation, the labels, the boxes we like to place ourselves in, so we feel like we some sort of belong. Like, no. We're all human and we all experience this, so it needs to go everywhere.
Yeah, exactly, mate. It's very true what you said. And we are all humans, and we're all just trying the best we can to navigate in this very chaotic world at times. And yeah, the less pressure that we put in ourselves to be perfect, I think the better we'll succeed as the human race, because no one's perfect either.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a big part of the mental health journey, is coming to the realization and acceptance that, you might be a little bit, tangled up in some weeds that you might need to fix to get back on track. And that's okay, because there is not one person, man, that I've met in my life, I don't know about you, that has they've said their life is perfect, mentally, physically, emotionally perfect. No one. Perfect doesn't exist. So if you can take that word out of your vocabulary, I think you're already a step ahead of a lot of people. Something that I've had to struggle with most of my life, as a perfectionist and OCD and stuff like that. It's like a double-edged sword. It's dangerous at times, but it can serve you very well in areas of your life too. But yeah, I think this is all about community. I think it's all about connection. I think there's so many great organizations out there doing great work. And what I always say to people is, if you're struggling right now, and whether you're listening to this in the gym or at home, or someone that might be struggling, or you're struggling, don't be ashamed to reach out and ask for help, because a problem shared is a problem halved, and a problem that you can accept now is going to be a lot easier to overcome, rather than waiting for that problem to grow. So yeah, have that confidence in yourself to reach out and ask for support, because there is support out there, and humans are generally very kind, and people do want to help you get better.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes people just don't understand how to help people, and it's because they haven't got the education and experience. The beautiful thing about this conversation is you don't actually have to have mental health experience to a certain degree to help someone live.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to have a listening ear. Sit at the end of their bed, sit at that end of that phone call, and just listen to what they're dealing with. Try and understand on their level what they may be going through. And they might not want any answers. They might not want you to problem solve. They just want someone there to listen, to understand, so that they don't feel alone.
100%. They need to be able to voice it, right? They need to be able to get it out of their head, because if it bounces between the four walls of their own mind, eventually it'll send you fucking loopy. And the only way out of that is the inevitable, right? So it is exactly like you said, just lending a listening ear. I really, really rate the fact that it's just like change a couple words, right? Something that I see and hear quite a lot is like, life is happening to me, right? And it's like, oh, this is happening to me. It's like, really? Like, we're one human being on the planet, right? And you've been here for 30 years, 20 years, 10 years, 100 years, whatever. The planet's been here a long time, right? How arrogant are you to believe that you are the center of the universe? You're not,
exactly.
Right? The universe is happening for you, and you're happening for the universe, right? It's working with you. So it's looking at the situation at hand and thinking, okay, yeah, there's times that you can change that situation yourself, but also what is it serving? How is it serving you right now? Like, what is the lessons that it is teaching you right now, even in the shit, even in the dark, even in the tough times, right? You got to be able to learn from that. Like, you can't just learn when you're fine and dandy and everything's sunshine and rainbows, because it's going to be a very slim part of that life that you're going to be able to learn from. You've got to be able to say, life is happening for me. I don't like it right now, but there's something in here that is bigger than myself, right? And I'm just going to ride those waves. Sometimes you just got to lie back and let the waves take you to whatever shore it's going to do it.
I agree, man. Amen to that. And I think it's just about having the faith that that's the case as well, and believing in yourself, trusting yourself enough to let go and know that this will work out, And it's not, I think it can be very complex, but this is about trying to keep it as simple as possible. The mind can be a very, very complex place.
Hold
at a
on,
lot of
100%.
times. So we got to try and just keep it simple wherever we can, I
Mm.
believe.
And it's learning to be okay with change, right? Because life doesn't make sense. Life is oxymoronic, right? It's paradoxical. It's literally the only constant in life is change. So the only thing that stays the same is everything doesn't stay the same. That doesn't make any sense, right?
Never.
And if you try and apply logic to life, right, it doesn't add up, right? It's 2 + 2 = 5. You're like, well, it doesn't, right? So you've got to be able to just go, you know what? Sometimes I ain't going to get the answers. Sometimes I ain't going to get the answer I want. So I'm going to be okay with that, because I'm going to make sure I'm okay, right? And then I'm going to make sure the person next to me is okay, and the person on the other side's okay. I'm going to make sure we're okay. And then whatever happens, happens, man. We'll just keep on living.
That's it, man. That's exactly it. And you just got to, don't take no for an answer. Be patient, practice the long game. And whatever you're going through right now, there are people in this world that might be going through something very similar. Yeah. And don't ever underestimate your problems either. Like, don't be scared to voice your opinions or your problems because you think someone else is going through a problem that might be bigger, because it's all relative in the grand scheme of things. Your problem is your problem, and no one knows that problem. So yeah, I always encourage people to share and speak up whenever they're ready. Obviously, I wouldn't make anyone do anything they're not comfortable with, but speak up whenever you feel like you can, and know that there is support and help out there. And that's a beautiful thing about some of the stuff that we do through Livin, with the programs, with our community, even the movement that we've created with the brand around the apparel. It's we try and lead first with education, because I feel honestly, if we can educate people around, how common this is, but also, the very different aspects of mental health and how it can affect so many people so differently, and how you can get support and help in your life, wherever you may be. I think education is what's going to really change the way that people look and perceive at mental ill health, because it's been too stigmatized for far too long. And I feel like that's because it's not really spoken about. So I think, I'm not saying we need everyone to go out there and, hey, go get a coffee. Hey, talk about mental health. Like, I just think it's got to be fully accepted in a way that it's, no matter where you talk about it or bring it up, it's just a part of a conversation. It's the same thing as if I've got COVID or I've broken my leg or whatever, we speak about it. It's not like we're scared to talk about those things.
Mm-hmm. Thing is, man, like, I think it will do over time. We've got to a position now where, say, for example, we sit across each other from the table sharing a coffee, and we're like, hi mate, how are you? Yeah, I'm sound. How are you? Yeah, sound. Okay, how's the gym going? How's the body? Are you injured or whatever? You're like, no, I feel all right at the moment, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. That's one side. Now we need to go to, how's the head?
Yeah.
How's your head going at the moment? And being able to go, you know what? Fucked. How's yours? And that being accepted, rather than just be like, oh yeah, everything's rabbits and butterflies. Like,
yeah,
okay.
Exactly. And then people sort of just sweep it under the rug, and then and they're really quick to get out of that part of the conversation, because it's scary for people, Judgment, shame. Yeah. And also, even if, and for some people, when they bring up those things, it also triggers trauma and all that sort of stuff too. So it's complex. It's very complex, but I agree with what you're saying. I think that, when and I have plenty of friends and family members that I can have those open conversations with right now. How's the brain doing, man? How's your mental health going? Well, anything you're struggling with, like they're pretty common conversations in my life. But there are still people in my life that don't really talk about it. And when you ask them, it's a very basic answer. It's like, yeah, it's all right. I'm just getting along. They don't really go into too much depth, but that's just because, again, they're going through their own stuff. They may not be fully educated, understanding how to speak up about how they're feeling. They might not be able to articulate. It can take time. These things definitely take time. Everyone's on their own journey, and you can't compare one journey to another, because we've all been brought up in a different way. Words have been told to us differently. We've been schooled differently. We've had different families, different parents, everything. And that all impacts how we grow up into the real world, So it's very complex as well.
Yes, sir. Like the responsibility is on both of us, right? It's our responsibility to take the horse to water, but it's also the responsibility of the horse to drink,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if it doesn't want to, then that's fine. You can keep on asking until eventually they feel comfortable enough to share. And maybe they don't want to, and that's fine. It's their own journey, right? A 9 to 5 is not right for everyone, but for some people it is right for them. And
Exactly.
again, that's fine. Sharing
Exactly.
nothing with people might genuinely be the way they want to live their life. And if that is correct, keep on doing that, man. However,
Exactly.
it is not the only way, right? You you
No,
can you can. There are people that give a fuck.
mate, there is. And there's everyone, there are going to be like everyone's very different. You're never going to have everyone doing something there's always going to be people doing things differently.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are going to love, like you mentioned, those long hours, 9 to 5 or whatever it is. And some people might want to start their own businesses and be entrepreneurs. And then there's some people that just they're happy just doing the same thing every single week, same routine, same budgets, everything. But that's what works for them. They like that. You can't sit here and we can't compare. Or why don't you step out of your comfort zone and try something new? Or why don't you go and start something? Or why don't you do? Everyone's in their own race, man. And again, I shouldn't say a race because it's not a race, but everyone's running their own journey.
That's it, man. Like, paths might weave in and out of each other for a bit. They might run parallel to each other, or they might stay to each other for forever. But inevitably, you have your own path. Like, we are all alone in this together. I think that line fucks me up every time I either say it or read it or write it. Like, we are all alone in this together. Like, we are on our individual journeys as a collective. And again, it's the oxymoron of life. Life doesn't make any sense, but we're here, we're kicking it.
Exactly. And that's it. That's what it's all about.
That's it, man. So I obviously watched your TED Talk.
Yeah.
Right. Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Really touched me.
Thanks, man.
How was that experience like?
Mate, it was good. It was I've done a lot of talks over the years, and that was definitely one that I was pretty nervous about, obviously sharing on a TED stage, but also the nature of what I was speaking about. It was close, obviously, to my heart and other people's hearts. So I wanted to make sure I did a really good job to honor the story and everything else. So, mate, it was a wild experience in New York City. Had a wonderful time, got great feedback, and mate, it's hopefully one person's listened to it and is able to connect with it and make a difference in their life, around masculinity and stuff like that.
It's massive, man. Like that's it's a huge honor to be able to do that, and it's also a great way of being able to connect with a lot more people, right? Because you obviously got the people in the audience, which is fantastic, and they're getting it in live time, but you've also got people like me that wasn't in the audience that would literally just click on a little screen and then just be like, holy fuck, that's so true. I really appreciate that strange guy on the stage talking about something that is close to people's hearts, right? And I think that is so beautiful about the internet, so beautiful about speaking, and also putting yourself out of the comfort zone, right? We know the comfort zone is where dreams go to die, so to speak, but being able to just throw yourself in the deep end and put yourself out there with something so like stigmatized and be like, you know what, motherfuckers, this needs to be talked about. I'm going to go do this. Here you go. If it helps you, it's there. If it doesn't, keep on walking. Good luck. God bless. And
Exactly,
mate, that was massive.
Yeah, it was awesome, man. It was a great experience, and got to share something very near and dear to my heart, and got to explore and throughout the process of getting to submit the talk and audition for the talks and all that. I mean, I learned a hell of a lot about what I was going to talk about, and I learned. Yeah, I'm always learning, man. I love that. I feel like if I'm not learning, I'm not living. So I'm like a sponge, but I've got to take it easy because I'm like, where do I finish? Like it has to be certain guides,
Mm-hmm. 9 to 5 is beautiful because it gives you an end date, and no one contacts you after 5 o'clock, and no one contacts you before 9 a.m. But
not for me, they don't.
Yeah, exactly, man. Like, especially with time zones now, right? Like everyone is contactable all the time.
Yeah.
Exactly. Something that I'm really really interested in your perspective on, because I'm buzzing about the youth. I love coaching the youth. I love like hearing their perception on things. I love like just trying to give people an equal opportunity, right? Like for me growing up, it was a bit of a struggle, and I know a lot of people are in the same boat. So what is your opinion on the whole mental health scene, right? But as part of youth, if we're going to twist it and then just talk about, we'll say, under 18s only.
So what do you mean by mental health, like in general, or?
Do you think it's getting worse? Do you think people are talking about it? Do you think?
It's a tough one. It's definitely, I don't have the stats in front of me, but for some of the latest stats and figures that have come out of the US for a company that we work with alongside of called Crisis Text Line, there are a lot more uptake in young people texting in for crisis support. Things around stress, anxiety, pandemic. These are keywords that have been picked up, and the rates definitely increased. But that's also on a twofold good thing, because they're actually reaching out for support. So it depends on which way you want to look at it. Again, I don't have the stats around where the mental health is going as of today. And I don't want to quote something that I'm not fully confident in. But mental health doesn't discriminate. There's definitely been a high increase in people reaching out, for Lifeline or crisis text line and things like this. That doesn't necessarily mean that, suicide rates have increased or mental ill health has increased. What it is definitely telling us, based on what I'm hearing, is that people are actually taking that step to reach out for support, because they're recognizing problems and they're recognizing that something's not right, which is a great sign than people not reaching out. But I do think that more needs to be done around mental health for young people. When I say for young people, youth, schools, even younger. Like I think that, and I know there are places and organizations doing a really good job for the young school, like young kids, like 6 to 10 kind of year age groups. We don't deliver our program to them. We deliver our program to grades 8 through to 12. So like 13 years of age and up, because some of the content is kind of content heavy at times, because it's based around lived experiences and stuff like that. But I do believe peer support, young people helping young people and sharing lived experience stories in a very safe environment, safety is our first priority. I think that is definitely something that we could be leveraging into the future. And I think we've got to use tech-based support and tech-based ecosystems to help people connect, because I think we've got to use that to our greatest advantage. And as you mentioned earlier, we can dial in from anywhere we want. We can connect with people wherever we want when we're talking about the internet. But we've got to use that in a safe way for young people, so that they can connect in a safe environment and they can get the help that they need in real time. I don't know to the great extent as to what is getting done as of today, but I know there is some programs out there that are doing great work. But I mean, I definitely like to see the online help and crisis support into the future. I think is going to be a real thing. I think the face-to-face stuff online is going to be a real hit for young people, like crisis support and crisis intervention, I should say, for young people. They can jump on like telehealth, like we're seeing it right now with some massive telehealth organizations skyrocketing throughout the pandemic. And that's really fast-tracked this whole process, which I think has been really great, because now people can speak and seek help in the comfort of their own homes at a fraction of the cost, with less barriers to entry. So I think that's even a better thing also.
I love that perspective on it, man. Like being able to...
Sorry?
I love that perspective on it, being able to take it and seeing the positive. I think a lot of people, especially throughout the entire time of the pandemic, is basically just always gone pessimistic, always gone on the negative side, right? And being able to say, you know what, now we've kind of fast tracked, right? Now we've innovated. Now we've been like, okay, we're seeing this, we're seeing that. All right, numbers have gone up. Yeah, probably because now we're talking about it. Doesn't necessarily, it doesn't correlate with increase in suicide rates. It might just be like increasing like knowledge about it. Who knows? Maybe it isn't, but maybe it is, you know, and being able to take the positive from it. Again, that's the first step. And that shows that you've done your work, right? Of being able to see the wood for the trees rather than just be like, everything's shit, we're all fucked. We're doomed. It's like, well, let's take a step back. Let's think about this. How do we use what's been dealt with us? How do we play the cards in a certain format to be able to take the win?
Yeah. And I think that's the key here. I think there has been some great advancements in technology over the years, but nothing's 100% perfect at all. But I mean, there's been some really great advancements and people are connecting like none other. And we hear the double-sided things. Oh, I'm getting Zoom burnout, or I want to see someone in real form. Yes, human beings need human interaction and real physical connection. We definitely know that through science and history has taught us that. But for the people that cannot seek support in human one-on-one interaction, now you've got access to jump online and speak to someone. And they're saying, and the science and research that comes out for mild to moderate mental health challenges like anxiety or depression, it can be really effective, and it can be just as effective as seeing someone in the physical room. And it takes away those burdens of having to check in and sit in a waiting room and all that stuff that some people get a little bit worried about. You know, I want to take that first step to seeking support and go to see someone, but I don't know what that process looks like. I feel like going to see someone online sort of removes all those barriers. And you're in the safety and comfort of your own home. Again, I'd like to see the, mental health support hopefully becoming more affordable for young people over the years. Hopefully through these technological advancements, we can minimize some of the costs associated with seeking help and support. Because it can be expensive, obviously, for some people in some areas. But I mean, it's definitely worth it. It's about finding the right fit and getting back on track and giving yourself permission and the patience to get well, because it's the most important thing, really, at the end of the day. If your mind's not aligned and you're just not feeling too well up, like in your brain, or your health and your mental health isn't well, like the rest of your life just suffers. It does. Your relationships, your work, everything that should seem great might not be great. And that's because you're impacted. And I think it's once we focus more on our brains and focus more on our health and our mental health, the rest of it will start working a lot easier. Like it won't require as much hard work and overthinking and lack of sleep and shit like that.
Yep. I couldn't agree more. I think we all now know that we need to look after our physical health, right? We know that you're more susceptible for diseases, osteoporosis, aging, whatever the fuck it is, right? So, okay, cool. Like, kind of look after yourself physically. Wicked. Check that box 3 times a week. Say, for example, you just do Zumba or yoga or whatever. You don't have to do anything strenuous. Go do something. All right, cool. That's that done. Now we need to be able to do something for upstairs too. And whatever format that is, whether that's just like coffee dates with your mates and you just like talking some things over instead of just having like superficial conversations, you actually like digging into it and figuring it out, whether that's therapy, whether that's writing, whether that's music, whatever it is, right? Whether it's your job, like sometimes doing your job pours back into your cup. Sometimes fitness pours back into your cup, whatever it is, right? Doing things, actively doing things and being aware of it. I'm going to do this because I'm going to be a more level-headed individual, and then in turn be a better partner, friend, son, daughter, parent, work colleague, whatever, right? And I think it will happen. Everything takes time. I can't wait for that stigma to be broken. But it starts with conversations like we're doing today, mate.
Definitely. And it's definitely getting better. I've seen it over the years. It's definitely improved and people are definitely getting together. And I think the conversation is great. So hopefully we're starting to set up things for our kids' kids and their generations, Hope they don't have to go through things like maybe, we might have went through when we were growing up. So that's the whole goal here. And we're just very grateful for everyone's support, man, over the years. And we're looking forward to continuing the impacts that we do and continue growing and helping people from around the world.
I'm so fucking buzzing to see what you do next. I really, honestly, like, hit me up if you need anyone to bang on a physical door and be like, hey, I know a guy. You know what I mean? One of those ones. I know a guy. Let me see if I can do this. I know I got a couple of skills already in the contact list that I know and have worked within for various reasons. So if you need anything, you know where I am.
Sounds good, mate.
I have 3 questions I like to ask people. First one. What's the best life advice you've ever received?
Mate, the best advice, I get this asked a fair bit. I ask it of myself, and I think the advice probably always changes, but I think one that I continue to battle with every single day, and I think is really, really important, is you cannot control, stop worrying about things that are sort of out of your control. Have a real think about the things that you can focus on and you can control, and spend time on those things. Don't spend time overthinking, losing sleep, thinking what people might think, when there are so many things out of your control. You don't know what's happening. No matter what you do, how hard you try, where you go, you're never going to be able to know that outcome, because you can't control it. You can't control everything in life. So just be really good at the things you can control.
I like that one.
There's a lot of advice, but that's one that probably resonates with me right now.
What about the worst piece of life advice you've ever received?
Worst piece of life advice. Mate, I don't even know if I have any worst advice. I don't remember any worst advices I get anyway. If I've got one, I've probably remembered it. I don't remember it, so I don't have one.
That's I mean, that in itself, if that was a piece of advice you were telling someone, that's pretty good advice. Don't remember the bad advice.
Yeah, don't remember the bad advice, because I don't remember anything that's bad. I've just, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's probably it. Sorry.
Last one. 3 words you'd tell your younger self.
Be kind. 3 words or 3 things?
3 words.
Oh, 3 things?
3 words.
3 words. Okay, sorry. I was testing you there.
Can't get away with this. Yeah.
3 words: kind, compassionate, fun.
Beautiful, man. Again, I thank you for everything that you're doing. I really appreciate your time, and I can't wait to see what you do next.
Mate, thanks, Alex, for having me on the podcast, man. And appreciate it. Appreciate the time. Appreciate the support. And yeah, I mean, if we can ever help or do anything in the future, let us know. Reach out.
Yes, sir.
And we'll always happy to help.
And whenever you jump over the pond, let me know and we'll grab a coffee.
Sounds good, mate. Sounds good.
Easy, man. You take it easy and we'll speak soon.
You too, mate. Thanks so much. Have a good day.
Peace.
See you, man. See ya.